All right, let's get right into it. For, what, 2 decades now, Google has been the undisputed king of search. I mean, countless companies have tried and failed to even make a dent. But then, back in 2022, this small startup launches with a totally different idea, and it sets the stage for one of the most fascinating David versus Goliath stories in tech today.
And it all kicks off with this, a claim so bold, so audacious, you kind of have to just stop and read it twice. This is not just some founder hyping up his company. This is a shot across the bow. It's a statement that the game has fundamentally changed. And to really get how we got here, you have to understand the guy who said it.
Because before Perplexity AI was an answer engine, its founder was a man who was, well, perplexed. He had a lot of questions and not a whole lot of good answers.
So this is Aravind Srinivas, and his whole journey didn't start with some grand master plan to take down a tech giant. Nope. It started with a really personal, kind of frustrating problem. See, he grew up in India, and when he moved to the US to start a company, he didn't have that network you can just call up for advice on basic but super critical business questions. He was, in his own words, completely perplexed.
And if you look at his background, you can see he was perfectly positioned to find a solution. We're talking a PhD from Berkeley and research stints at the absolute ground zero of the AI revolution, places like OpenAI, DeepMind, and yeah, even Google itself. He had a front-row seat to the creation of these massive language models.
So, when ChatGPT just exploded onto the scene in 2022, Aravind saw its 2 biggest flaws right away. First, it was trained on old data, so you couldn't ask it about anything current. And second, it never cited any sources. It just gave you an answer, with no way for you to check if it was actually true. It was a total black box, which meant you couldn't really trust it for any serious questions.
So the question became, how could a tiny startup, with barely any money, solve a problem that these billion-dollar AI labs were wrestling with? Well, the answer was kind of brilliant. They just decided not to play the same game at all. You see, instead of spending billions trying to build their own AI model from the ground up, they built this orchestration layer on top of the ones that already exist. So here's how it works. You ask a question. Perplexity then scours the live web for the most relevant, up-to-the-minute info. Then, it feeds all that information to a powerful AI model, but not as a knowledge base. It uses it as a reasoning engine. It basically says, here's the context. Now write a direct answer and cite every single source you used.
And this strategy was just mind-blowing. It gave them 4 huge advantages. They became model agnostic, meaning they can just plug and play whatever the best AI is for a certain task. It massively lowered their costs. It let them pour all their resources into making the user experience amazing, and maybe most cleverly, it gave them incredible legal agility, letting them sidestep all the copyright battles that other companies training their own models are facing.
And this clever approach didn't just give Perplexity an edge. It also perfectly exposed Google's single greatest vulnerability, its own business model.
Okay, so you have to understand just how different their worlds are. Google's world is built on short keywords, like the average search is just 2 or 3 words long. Its whole goal is to give you a long list of blue links, and its entire business model depends on you clicking those links and the ads around them. Perplexity's world is the complete opposite. People ask full questions, averaging 10 words, and the goal is to give you a direct answer so you don't have to click a dozen different links.
And this number right here, this tells the whole story. This is roughly what Google pays Apple every single year just to be the default search engine on their devices. Their entire business is so deeply tied to that link and ad model that switching to direct answers would mean destroying their own revenue stream. It's the classic innovator's dilemma, and it's created this huge opening that Perplexity is driving a truck right through.
But Perplexity's challenge, it goes even deeper than just business strategy. It's really rooted in an academic philosophy about how we should all interact with knowledge itself. Aravind basically brought his PhD mindset directly into the product. I mean, the core principle of academia, right, is that every claim has to be backed by evidence, by a citation. It's how knowledge gets built, layer by verifiable layer. Perplexity is applying that exact same rigor to every single answer it gives you.
So here's the crucial point. For the last decade or so, when we talked about trust in tech, we were usually talking about privacy and data, mostly thanks to social media. But Aravind's argument is that in the age of AI, where machine can give you answers that shape your actual decisions, trust has a new, much more fundamental meaning: accuracy.
But Perplexity isn't content with just being a better search engine. Not at all. They're already looking ahead and asking what comes next.
And with a valuation now over $9 billion, and their usage growing something like 17 times in a single year, their vision goes way beyond just finding information. The next logical step, of course, is helping you act on it.
The goal is to evolve from an answer engine into an action engine. Just imagine an AI assistant built right into your browser that doesn't just find the best flights, it actually books them for you. An agent that can search your emails, check your calendar, and make a dinner reservation all from a single command. The whole vision is to move from simply knowing things to actually getting things done.
And this all brings us to a really fascinating final thought. As AI like Perplexity makes answers instant, accurate, and available to absolutely everyone, just remembering facts becomes way less important. In a world where any answer is just a question away, perhaps the most valuable human skill we have left is learning how to ask the right questions.